So, what is the lost cause ideology, and why does it matter? The lost cause ideology emerged in the United States following the Civil War. It presents the Confederate cause as noble and heroic, a valiant struggle for honor and states' rights instead of a battle to preserve the inhuman institution of slavery. This ideology presents a cohesive narrative that reframed the Confederacy's cause, memory, and legacy. It was an attempt to remold the Southern identity in the wake of defeat, emancipation, and Reconstruction. The horrific acts routinely enacted while conducting the business of slavery are minimized or overlooked in this view. Likewise, the violence that those in the South were willing to inflict on their fellow Americans is minimized. In the aftermath of the Civil War, the South faced economic devastation and the dissolution of their way of life and social identity. The lost cause ideology allowed Southern leaders to rewrite history and salvage a noble-seeming sense of identity based on half-truths and misrepresentations. Lost cause ideology molded the collective memory of the Civil War in the South, influencing literature, art, and architecture. All of the Confederate monuments. This story attempts to reverse victim and oppressor, minimizing the harm that white Southerners inflicted on their slaves, while casting those same white Southerners as victims in the Civil War and its aftermath. The narrative is that they were treated unfairly. They were noble men of honor, merely trying to defend their land and their way of life, despite the fact that way of life involved owning human beings. It framed the South as a victim of Northern aggression, while downplaying slavery as a cause of the war, and instead blaming it on things like economic forces and states' rights. Even in schools, a sanitized version of the Civil War is frequently taught that emphasizes states' rights and their battle for independence from federal tyranny, rather than slavery and its economic repercussions. The issue of states' rights is a theme frequently evoked even today in conservative circles. Lost cause ideology has shaped American art, architecture, education, history, and political policies since the Civil War, all the way from the Jim Crow laws up through the resurgence of the Great Replacement theory and lost cause ideologies in the far right in American politics today. The lost cause narrative has always contributed to white supremacy by downplaying the realities of slavery and framing the Confederacy as a victim of Northern aggression. This influenced racial attitudes and policies throughout subsequent American history. The same ideology is used to this day to rally support for conservative causes, particularly in the South, and has been used by right-wing politicians, podcasters, and journalists in debates over civil rights and social justice. The sanitized version of the civil rights and slavery taught in schools in America is also emblematic of lost cause ideology's influence over our educational system and those who lead and influence it. In modern right-wing narratives, prominent figures frequently reference lost cause ideologies and downplay the Civil War and slavery in order to deny the continuing influence of racism and racial inequality on our society today. They use these arguments in order to try to deny the very apparent racial inequity that still exists across most areas of our society, and sadly, these ideas seem to be gaining prominence in recent years. It is only by calling out these falsehoods and misrepresentations and presenting an accurate, complete, and equitable account of our own history that we can truly see our society as it is and counter these damaging narratives that can only lead towards further bigotry and oppression.